people who survived the impossible. Number 10. Michalina Lewandowska. When a relationship seemed to work, at the very least, they'd send them a breakup text and tell them it's not you, it's me. Not factory worker Marcin Kazprzak. Marcin had grown tired of his fiancée Michalina Lewandowska and decided he wanted her out of the way. Assisted by his friend Patrick Bors, Marcin used a 300,000-volt taser gun to attack Michalina. He then bound her hands and feet and forced her into a cardboard box. They buried a still...
I'll call...
1782.
Sorry about that, you guys.
Punches. Top 10 most insane bank heists.
1623, go ahead.
Michalina in a shallow grave in some remote woods on the outskirts of Huddersfield, England. She was then left to suffocate and die. They also used her bank card to withdraw £500 of her money, but Michalina was having none of it. She used her engagement ring to cut loose her bonds and then claw herself free of the grave. Unsurprisingly, the ordeal left her with severe PTSD. But justice was done and both attackers received 20 years behind bars for their barbaric crime. Number 9. Matthew Croucher. In 2008, Royal Marine Lance Corporal Matthew Croucher not only survived the unbelievable, but he became a national hero in the process. During a reconnaissance mission in the notoriously dangerous Helmand province in Afghanistan, he felt a tripwire against his leg. He immediately recognized that he had inadvertently activated a Taliban grenade. Without a second thought, he shouted for his comrades to get out of the way and launched himself at the grenade. He managed to place his rucksack between the bomb and his body and tucked his legs to his chest to protect them from the oncoming blast. He was thrown into the air from the force of the explosion, but apart from a nosebleed and burst eardrums, he was miraculously unharmed. It is thought that, were it not for Croucher's selfless actions, he and the other 3 members of his patrol would have certainly been within lethal range of the explosion. He was awarded the George Cross by Queen Elizabeth II in recognition of his incredible bravery. Number 8. Bahia Bakari. Being involved in a plane crash is a lot of people's worst nightmare, but for 14-year-old Bahia Bakari, it became a horrifying reality. On June 30th, 2009, Bahia was on board Yemenia Flight 626, flying from Yemen to Comoros with her mother. Tragically, the plane lost control over the Indian Ocean and plummeted into the water with an almighty crash. Bahia was thrown from the aircraft. Unable to swim and without a life jacket, she thankfully managed to stay afloat by grabbing hold of a piece of debris. At first, she could hear the faint cries of other survivors, but after a few hours clinging to the debris, they all began to fade. It wasn't until 9 excruciatingly long hours later that a search ship arrived at the scene and helped Bahia to safety. She had numerous broken bones, including a fractured pelvis and collarbone. Luckily, she made a full recovery and left hospital just over 3 weeks later. Sadly, the 152 other people on board the plane perished in the disaster, including Bahia's mother. Number 7. Robert Evans. Think you're unlucky? Try being Robert Evans. One evening in September 2008, 46-year-old Evans was riding his bike along the roads of Boulder, Colorado, when he was hit by a speeding car. The driver of that car then fled the scene and was never caught. Evans was taken to Boulder Community Hospital for treatment. Luckily, he wasn't very badly injured, so he was discharged at 3 a.m. the following day. On his way back home, he chose to take a risky shortcut through a narrow railroad bridge. Big mistake. Less than 8 hours after being hit by a car, a coal train plowed straight into Evans. He was thrown over 4 meters off the bridge and ended up straight back in the exact same hospital he had just come from. Amazingly, he survived both major incidents with little more than a slight concussion. Number 6. Carlos Rodriguez. When Carlos Rodriguez was arrested in 2012 for allegedly soliciting prostitution, his alarming mugshot quickly went viral. It's not that unusual when you look at him here facing forward, but when he turns to the side, you can see he's missing quite a large section of his skull. According to Carlos, nicknamed Harvey for obvious reasons, he gained his unique appearance following a car accident when he was 14. He was driving recklessly in Miami following a major alcohol and drugs binge. Unsurprisingly, he lost control of the vehicle, flew through the windscreen, and landed headfirst on the road. He was only able to survive thanks to surgeons who cut away large chunks of flesh and bone to alleviate pressure on his brain. If that's not going to put you off driving under the influence of drink and drugs, nothing will. Number 5. Peter Skalberg. When 44-year-old Peter Skalberg from Sweden went missing in December 2011, his family feared the worst. There was no sign of him for over 2 months until a passerby discovered a car completely buried beneath a snowdrift. The passerby scraped snow from the windscreen and was astounded to see movement inside the car. It turned out that Peter had been completely trapped inside his vehicle for all that time, the weight of the snow forcing his door shut. He had no food or water and had to survive by eating snow while temperatures plummeted to -3 degrees centigrade while he slept on the back seat of his car. Doctors are completely stumped as to how on earth he survived for so long in these conditions. Dr. Stefan Branith from Uppsala University hypothesized that his metabolism may have slowed down like a bear that hibernates, making it easier to go without food. It's also thought that his car created an igloo effect that insulated him from the bitter temperatures. Luckily, Peter made a full recovery following his ordeal. Number 4. Matthew Allen. It's not unusual for teenagers to run away from home, but the story of 18-year-old Matthew Allen from Australia is utterly bizarre. Matthew, who suffers from learning difficulties, left his family home in December 2012 on what he described as a survival mission. He had very little food or water with him and was entirely alone. His description turned out to be incredibly accurate, as he ended up spending over 9 weeks in the most grueling conditions imaginable. While his friends, family and neighbours searched far and wide for the young adventurer, he disappeared into the harsh Australian outback. During his ordeal, Australia experienced a record-breaking heatwave with temperatures reaching a sweltering 48 degrees Celsius. When Matthew was eventually found by hikers, he was lying exhausted on the floor. He had lost half his body weight, was suffering from partial blindness and gangrene, and leeches had begun to eat away at his lower legs. He was treated in hospital in Sydney and managed to make a full recovery. However, doctors believe that he would have died within hours had he not been found when he was. Number 3. Sir Adrian Carton de Weert. British Army officer Sir Adrian Carton de Weert has gained a reputation as the unkillable soldier, and rightly so. He fought in 3 major conflicts across 6 decades: the Boer War, World War I and World War II. During this time, he was shot in the face, head, stomach, ankle, leg, hip and ear. He lost an eye and an arm, as well as tearing off his own fingers when a surgeon refused to amputate them. And if that wasn't badass enough for you, reports from his comrades describe him pulling the pins out of grenades with his teeth and throwing them at the enemy with his good arm. This super soldier also survived 2 plane crashes and tunneled out of a prisoner of war camp. For his bravery and sheer stubbornness for life, he received various honours and medals, not least the Victoria Cross, the highest award of the UK honours system. He died peacefully in 1963, aged 83. Despite becoming the most battle-scarred soldier in history, Carton de Weert wrote in his autobiography, "Frankly, I enjoyed the war. Each to their own, I suppose." Number 2. Adolf Sax. Growing up in Dinant, Belgium in the early 19th century, young Adolf Sax was determined to set a new clumsiness record. During his childhood, he was involved in a number of serious accidents, each of which could have easily ended his life. These included falling from a 3-story building and hitting his head on the ground, drinking from a bowl of sulfuric acid, swallowing a pin, burning himself in a gunpowder explosion, falling onto a hot cast iron frying pan, nearly being suffocated by varnish, and almost drowning in a river. Young Adolf was so ill-fortuned that even his own mother once said, "He's a child condemned to misfortune. He won't live." There's nothing like the confidence and support of a loving parent, eh? But don't worry, things turned out all right for him in the end. Not only did he manage to live to an unexpectedly ripe old age of 79, but he went on to invent something you may have heard of: the saxophone. Number 1. Todd Endris. The odds of getting attacked by a shark are 1 in almost 4 million. You're more likely to be killed falling out of bed or off a ladder, but unfortunately for Todd Endris in 2007, the odds were not in his favour. One sunny August day, he was surfing off the Australian coast when he was suddenly and viciously attacked by a huge 5-meter great white shark. The shark tried to bite Todd's body in half and ended up tearing off his skin. Todd kept his stomach tight to his surfboard, which doctors say was essential for protecting his internal organs and preventing even greater blood loss. Then, adding another twist to this dramatic story, he found himself surrounded by dolphins. The horde of bottlenose dolphins formed a protective ring around him, coming between Todd and the attacking great white. Todd lost a great amount of blood and had to undergo intense physical therapy, but he was, amazingly, back surfing just 6 weeks later. We hope you enjoyed these amazing survival stories. If you know of any good ones, let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out, guys. See you in the next one. Peace.